Hey guys, today I'll be reading Five Nights at Freddy's 2 Critic Reviews. As a huge FNAF fan myself, I watched the movie with my mom and it was amazing. I gave it a 9 out of 10 and my mom also gave it a 9 out of 10. So as human beings, we all have our own opinions on different stuff. So, I respected some of these opinions, I guess. But then I kind of watched a few videos talking about this, and I feel like if everyone else is able to voice their own hatred towards a movie that I genuinely think is a fun watch, then I should also have the right to diss on those reviews and tell them that they're bullshit. I'll be reading these reviews and I'll be judging if they are invalid or valid. As a huge FNAF fan, and as someone who also likes watching horror movies in general, I think I'm ready to do this. It's just these critics, because there seems to be a trend of critics just hating any video game adaptation, except for the Sonic movie for some reason. Anyways, let's get started. The main problem with FNAF 2 is the insistence on maintaining the PG-13 rating. When the scenes of violence, healthily increased in this installment, cry out for the use of gore that is completely absent. You're basically saying this movie sucks because it's not gory enough. If you watch Megan, which is another Blumhouse film that is really popular and did really well, they actually turned down the gore. It used to be a little bit gorier, and you can watch that version from the unrated edition of Megan, but they actually turned it down because they're trying to accommodate for the audience. When it became trending on TikTok, young people are gonna watch it. A lot of young people are gonna watch it because young people like to waste their time on social media. Anyways, invalid. The most reasonably intelligent and enjoyable moment of Five Nights at Freddy's 2 ends when the opening credits fade as the film descends into a formidably nonsensical mire littered with boring characters who feel as why are you using so much weird words like formidably nonsensical? What does that mean? The film descends into a formidably nonsensical mire. What does that mean? A stretch of swampy or boggy ground. What the heck? Is that a metaphor? You're telling me Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is equivalent to Shrek's swamp? No, if I go to the full review, I'm not bothered to watch a YouTube video, man. Just tell us here what you don't like. Invalid. The sequel struggles to raise pulses or pique curiosity throughout. I will agree that the FNAF 2 movie maybe didn't know what its main goal was. Obviously, a problem arose with the toy animatronics and the puppet killing everybody. The problem arose, and the main character's goal is to stop that, to stop people from dying, basically. That's the main thing. But what did they achieve? Rather, at the end of the film, they lost a lot of things. They lost the trust of Vanessa. More problems arose with Springtrap and Michael Afton. They didn't really succeed or achieve anything. In the first film, Mike regained their bond with Abby. So they gained that. Vanessa gained kind of a normal life, I guess. William Afton's dead. Obviously he comes back, but at that time they were all like, he's dead, it's gone, we're done. And then that lasted for a year, so they gained that. But the FNAF 2 movie actually didn't gain anything. So I agree why you kind of hate that, but it's not a big deal because the movie itself is still fun to watch. There's still things to do, unlike the first movie where Mike was just sleeping and Abby was just making a fort with the animatronics. So I'm gonna call it invalid, but I might change my mind. The movie is packed full of winks and nods specifically designed to make a fan of the Five Nights at Freddy's game say, hey, I know what that is. However, to the average person with limited FNAF lore, it doesn't quite hit the same. Okay, look, if I go to the full movie review, it's gonna be like a whole entire English essay. Is it a podcast, bro? When I'm furious, everything feels like, okay, I was looking, who the hell is that guy? Man, it's none of your business, bro. You can ignore the. Why are you watching it if you The acting feels like both Josh Hutcherson and Elizabeth Lail just couldn't fully get into their characters, which is a shame because I think they both did do a great job in other films. The one person really bringing their A games, Matthew Lillard, who seems to have never phoned in a performance in his life. And if you're a fan of Scream, FNAF is a movie made for kids who already like FNAF, for adults who are not. So what you're complaining here is just you don't like the concept. You're only here because you want to watch Matthew Lillard. I don't know if this person really didn't understand the plot, because if you don't understand the plot, I kind of get it. FNAF is confusing. I logically get it, but I emotionally don't get it. Because people keep saying the plot is confusing, the lore is confusing, but compared to the games, compared to the MatPat videos, the FNAF movie barely has any lore to uncover. They're only taking very little parts of the lore and putting them into a 1 hour and 40-minute movie. It's not that much lore. It's not that hard to understand what the hell is going on. Sure, there might be a few areas that isn't filled, but like, I think you understand the movie. And I guess you don't like the acting of Josh Hutcherson and Elizabeth Lail. I think they did a pretty good job. At the very least, they did the minimum to not make it feel like it's cringe or very unrealistic. They did a good job. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is the movie equivalent of what the kids call brain rot. Hold on a second. You're saying this is Five Nights at Freddy's 2? You're telling me this movie is equivalent to this kid saying 6-7?
Tong 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 sour blueberry oko puccini
Guys, this FNAF movie is so good.
bombardiro crocodilo
Yeah, oh wow, there's so much more.
I need to hang up that computer call. Come over here and kiss me on my hot mouth.
We can all fucking agree that watching this movie doesn't feel like watching AI brain rot slop. Clearly invalid. A film that is such a bleak, shameless cash grab, it makes even the worst of Marvel look like Citizen Kane. I don't know what Citizen Kane is. You're basically saying it's very dry. The FNAF movie's dry. I personally think the first one's more dry. In this movie, at least we're doing something. Here's the, like, I still don't know what you're saying. It's dry, but I would like you to evaluate more on that. Man, look, see, like, I'm not bothered to read all of this, man. Like, can you just tell us why you don't like it? Is it the dialogue? Is it the acting? Is it the confusing plot? These guys are spamming metaphors left and right, but they're not saying what they actually don't like about the movie. Invalid. This sequel is a convoluted mess that squanders what tension it manages to generate in favor of building out a world that only feels smaller the more it tries to expand. Drowns in its own lore. I'm actually going to try to read this because I'm genuinely curious. What parts of the film do they not get? What is this? What is so hard to understand when watching this movie? Okay, so they like the nightmare sequence of Vanessa. I agree too. The animatronics are a mixed bag. I agree. They're not the scariest, especially since they look like this. I agree with that. They still look cool. They're still really cool though. Bro, the footsteps. Do you hear those damn footsteps? It's like thump, thump, thump. It's like B50 thump. I smell a bite of 87. America's gonna take the upgrade along with the new setting, but the slow shiny from. Yeah, okay, yeah. I agree. They're not the scariest. They're not scary. I 100% agree that the toy animatronics are not scary. Yeah, when they're outside of the pizzeria, obviously the tense factor goes down by like 100%. That's fair. That is 100% valid. This is valid. And now that you actually explained why you're not scared of the movie, because it's just they don't seem threatening, and especially since besides the science teacher, they don't kill anyone else. If they killed at least maybe one parent, they may seem way more threatening and people may have actually taken the film seriously. So that is 100% valid. I wish it was scarier, and I wish it was actually the animatronics were a little bit more threatening. However, considering the first film, when the animatronics literally built a fort with Abby, this is a step up from that first film. Okay, it says here like fast, compelling setting. Yeah. But it was ultimately tossed aside to make way for the next aggressively signposted Easter egg. I don't know what they're talking about I don't know what Easter egg they're talking about, but they're basically saying here Fast Fest was completely ignored, even though the whole movie was hyping it up. I also agree. I think the ending is way too underdeveloped. I feel like the final act should have taken place at Fast Fest, and that made the ending really bad. Like sure, the FNAF 1 versus FNAF 2 animatronics, that was peak. But to the casual audiences, so what they come. Like, I think they already expected that to happen, because Mike actually goes to the FNAF 1 pizza place to ask for help, to beg for help before getting to his house. And then like casual audiences are like, oh yeah, so they're gonna appear. They're gonna 100% appear at the very last convenient timing. The most convenient timing, when the main characters are about to get squashed by those fee-fi-fo thumps footsteps. 100% agree. They should have utilized Fast Fest more. They should have made a better ending, to be honest. The cliffhanger is fine. I like the cliffhanger. That makes me more hyped for the movie. But because the ending was so rushed and so underdeveloped, like nothing was really achieved, the cliffhanger kind of felt very random and very underwhelming. When I realized that was the end of the film, we don't get that. Is that it? Like, are we not gonna go to Fast Fest and do stuff there? Like, what's the point of Fast Fest? What's the point of bringing people over there when Michael Afton was like, everyone's gonna die by the end of tomorrow or something? However, what my theory on why they didn't use Fast Fest is that they're saving it for the third film, and Fazbear's Frights, which is where Springtrap is going to be at Fast Fest, or at the very least related to Fast Fest, and people at Fast Fest will go to Fazbear's Frights, and then that's where Springtrap does something. I don't know. I have no idea what the third movie is going to be about. I just want to say one good thing about the FNAF 2 movie. I had no idea what direction it was going to take. So watching it, I was actually like really excited to see where this was going to go. I think FNAF is one of those series that can only purely please fans, and it's not because the movie sucks, but because the franchise itself is already like that to begin with. Hopefully you guys aren't that raged at my own opinions. You have to remember the FNAF 2 movie isn't perfect. I have problems with it too, similar to some of these critics, but in general, these critic reviews just cannot accept the idea that FNAF is this sort of movie.